Yep. Welcome to the Bad Reading Podcast. I am your host, Atlas Novak, and my guest today with me, you've seen him on Comedy Central, you've seen him on America's Got Talent, it's Alex Hooper, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, man? How's the quarantine treating you?
Oh, it's pretty good overall. I'm trying to have a positive outlook on it, so I will say I'm very relaxed. I'm taking good care of myself. I'm finding ways to go outside and play and find joy when the world is collapsing around us. It's been overall, I really can't complain too much about this year. Or if I did, nobody would care, so I'm just trying to have a good outlook on it.
Right. Yeah, like, it's one of those things where I think if you manage to just stay afloat, you're like, it's been a good year. Managed to not lose my shit completely. Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of reflection of when stand-up comedy went away of like, well, who am I if I'm not performing every night and giving my life to an audience? What do I do without them? And there was a few dark times for sure. I mean, you'd be a sociopath if you didn't have any of those this year. But overall, I think perspective is everything, and I'm just trying to really find the best in all this.
Do you still do like Zoom shows, or have you just like quit completely?
Oh no, I'll do any Zoom show somebody wants me to do.
Too.
Honestly, the big thing for me is like it keeps me writing jokes, the Zoom shows, and then what I found is when the world did open up a little bit, like obviously right now we're shut down again, but when it was open, the jokes I was doing on Zoom were already formed much more, so I was going to the stage and I already had like finished bits that I hadn't told before that were just doing well right out the gate. So for that reason alone, like, I'll totally do Zoom shows.
Same. Like, I think it's slowed down where I'm not like, okay, must go to open mics 6 nights a week or I'm not hustling enough. Like, I'll get maybe 1 or 2 Zoom shows in a month, and I'm happy for that.
I don't go seeking them out anymore. I'm not like, who's got a show? I got to do it. There was a couple in the beginning of this. I was sometimes doing like 3 a night, which, by the way, to the Ice House in Pasadena. It's like, okay, guys, I got to go, and then just flip right and do another Zoom, and then I have a new audience. So in that respect, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, definitely. I did this contest called the Eargasm contest recently, and I'm surprised that I managed to get past like the preliminary round and then lost to the finals. But it was just nice to be able to like have that sense of competition again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anything that makes you try, I think, is good, because I think that's one thing a lot of people on Zoom shows were kind of like, who cares about this? This isn't even a real show. And I'm like, well, it's not a real show if you're not going to make it one, but there's still people here that are tuned in, that are taking their time out of their lives to try to be entertained. And I'm in the boat that you should always give it your best no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing for 5,000 people or 5, go out there and give them a show. So I'm glad that you did that.
Thank you. Speaking of doing your best and giving people a show, I like to ask whatever guest I happen to be having every week, what are you into?
What am I into? I mean...
Rare.
Well, I in a normal year, I love going to concerts and music festivals and traveling all over the place and doing shows. I love... This year has been, I started playing tennis this year.
Oh, neat.
The easiest sport to social distance, and I've really fallen hard for it. I play with a lot of comedians, so we're super nice to each other, but we can also rip each other apart and have it be totally okay on the court. And I slackline a lot. So, like, which is like tightrope walking essentially. It's like a bouncy tightrope, and I do that. And perfect, again, outdoor activity. I don't need anybody else to be there. I can stay away from people. I'm very into self-improvement, so I read a lot of like personal development books, and I do a lot of meditation and journaling and visualizations and all the other things that California has incepted into my brain that I always thought was a bunch of bullshit. I'm full on California, dude. Like this, I've lived here for over 12 years, and I've just let myself become every stereotype that people think about this place, and I'm okay.
I'm from here, and I don't even have all those stereotypes. That's impressive.
Yeah, I really let let my environment kind of just influence me, and I've grown a lot for the better. So I think having hobbies in a year like this is so important, and that's why like I had slacklining and meditation and stuff, but when I started playing tennis, I was like, okay, here's something new that I can give myself to. That I can go outside for a couple hours a day and spend time with a friend from a safe distance and get better at something, and that's been really great.
I honestly considered, like, I went to my mom's house and got my baseball glove out of her attic, and I was like half considering asking people, "You want to go play catch?"
Dude, people are though. Like I've seen comedians just doing like pickup baseball and stuff like that, and not really keeping score or anything. Just, hey, all right, somebody else go grab the bat and go hit, and we'll all field it. And sure, I mean, dude, do it. Honestly, if there's ever a year to start trying new things, this is the one. Mm-hmm. When everything else has been taken from us.
The normal, like that question usually leads to people like saying the topic thing, but that gave me like a nugget of hope. So like,
I didn't even pick up that you were like,
no.
What kind of shows are you watching or anything?
Oh, no, it's cool. I love hearing what comes out of people's mouths, because sometimes they'll pick up on it and be like, oh, the thing you said we were going to do, that thing. Or they'll run with it and be like, yeah, I'm into, like, weird shit in, like, the dark web. You're like, okay.
Yeah, dude, a lot of Wiccan and pagan stuff.
Oh, no, not that. Like BDSM and, like...
Oh, I got you.
Fetishes, yeah. Well... The story we have today, so you gave me a bunch of options. I ended up picking King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Which, King of the Hill, the Fox sitcom that doesn't get lumped in with all of Seth MacFarlane's shows.
Very much, yeah.
Because it's not one. It's a classic. The story I happen to find from today, I just have to, like, preface this. It's on fanfiction.net. The writer is called The Writer 22. And this guy has written, like, not just one, not two, but several King of the Hill fan fictions. Two of them are over 30 chapters each about Bobby turning into a werewolf.
Jesus, this guy's committed.
There's a multiverse that's like a one-shot where they go visit, like, different TV shows. But the one that I chose today... is something called King of the Hill, The Millennium Saga. And the little thing at the beginning is, Bobby Hill is determined to solve the secrets of the Millennium Puzzle, but what happens if he does? A retelling of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga / first season anime, featuring characters from King of the Hill, some of my OCs from Werewolf of the Hill, as I mentioned a second ago, and references and appearances by characters from other shows. So, this is a King of the Hill Yu-Gi-Oh! Crossover.
I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh!, so am I going to be confused as hell?
Maybe, maybe not. I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I played competitively for 4 years. So that part...
Good. I'm glad we have an expert among us to be able to discuss any confusion I may have.
There's like a soft spot in my heart for Yu-Gi-Oh! And how outlandishly stupid it is. But also, just the amount of, like, commitment this guy had for several King of the Hill fanfics is, like, you just have to appreciate the hustle, if nothing else.
And I also appreciate, for someone like you who grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh!, the merging of these worlds for you to be able to play in both of them and understand where this guy might be coming from. That's got to be pretty exciting to read, right?
Yeah. exciting in like a stupid way. But
Sure.
what else would this show be for if not for stupid ways? So let's get into it. At the beginning, there are those who say that darkness is a force that can corrupt the soul of the most righteous person, the thing that influences the evil that threatens our world. Now, what if I told you that throughout the course of history, there were those who used the darkness to punish the wicked, the dishonest, and to those who hurt the innocent for nothing but enjoyment? These people were respected figures in their times, ranging from kings and queens, emperors and sultans, and even to the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. These individuals were able to harness the darkness with 7 mythical items. Those who hold those items can call upon the darkness to challenge those of the wicked hearts to a trial that if lost was paid with a cost. So, one thing to know about the Yu-Gi-Oh universe is that there are these things called the Millennium Items, and if you've seen like a picture of Yugi, the main character, he's got like a pyramid thing around his neck. That's one of them. It's called the Millennium Puzzle. And they all kind of do like vague magic things that they're like, oh, we need plot to happen. It can do another thing. You know, there's lots of those.
Basically, they make it up as they go along to just so the story can continue.
Pretty much. And like the thing with the main character is that when he completes this Millennium Puzzle, the little pyramid, the Yamayugi, the basically like the super ancient puberty that he goes through, because it's the ancient pharaoh's soul that takes over his body. So like you see a little tiny Yugi and then tall Yugi. Tall Yugi is the pharaoh.
He has much whiter pubes than young Yugi.
Yes, from like thousands of years before.
So it is a decrepit forest going on down there.
Yeah, well, it's mummified, right? So.
Yeah, true.
All right, our story begins in the small town of Arlen, Texas, inside a small ranch house on Rainy Street. Bobby Hill was sleeping peacefully in his bed until his alarm went off. He got out of bed and shut the contraption off as it rang for the 3rd time. With his shower taken, his clothes put on, he headed out into the kitchen, where he saw his grandpa sitting at the table eating his breakfast. "Morning, Grandpa," Bobby greeted as he joined him at the table with his own plate. Apologies for my terrible Bobby Hill voice, by the way.
Bobby's tough, man.
He's got this kind of scratch to him, but it's difficult to do.
I sound more like Marge Simpson than I do Bobby Hill.
I think, no, that's pretty close to Bobby. I can do a solid Hank, but Bobby just doesn't. It escapes me, and why I kind of miss Nick Kane on this show, because he was the best impressionist I've ever worked with. So, Cotton smiled at his grandson as the two of them ate their meals. Halfway through the meal, Bobby asked if he had heard anything from his parents, who had left Cotton to watch him while they were attended some event that involved his father's work in propane. "I know you miss them, but they'll be back by the end of the week," Cotton said. What does Cotton sound like again?
He's like, "I know you miss them, but they'll be back at the end of the week." It's kind
Okay.
Actually, I kind of surprised myself with how not shitty that was.
That was pretty good. So, like, his whole thing was he's like a World War II veteran or something, right? And he got his shins blown off?
You know, Fitty Man.
Yeah.
That's what he always talks about. He's just like,
I went over there and I killed Fitty Man. This country owes me everything.
Yeah. So, like, is that why he waddles like that? Because he got his fucking shins blown off?
exactly, yeah. Like they always allude, they show pictures of him when he's like full size and everything, and then basically that's why he's so short, is because they attached his knees to his feet.
That's so weird. I feel like I would have just gone with the prosthetics if I were him.
Yeah, that's probably, I probably would have too, but I don't know, I guess old Kneefoot there decided it would be better to be all natural.
Kneefoot?
Yeah.
Do you have any, like, permanent injuries, or,
Permanent? No, I've broken my knee, I've broken my wrist. Nothing like where I'm forever crippled or anything like that.
Right. The only, like, permanent injury I have was, one time when I was a kid, I was rollerblading, and I had put on my helmet, and I put on my knee pads, and I put on my wrist guards. But I didn't put on my elbow pads, because I'm like, who falls on their elbows? Well, apparently I do.
Oh yeah, especially on rollerblades, because like I used to rollerblade for a long time, and as soon as you lose balance, like you go back, and so that's when your elbows like are just gonna slam right into the pavement.
Yeah.
And that hurts, dude.
Yeah. So like I can't lean on my left elbow without it like hurting after about 3 seconds.
So no bourgeois photos for you on a couch in that direction, I guess.
No, I don't think if it broke something, it's like healed weird or whatever. Because like I never went to the hospital or got a test, just like really bruised, like a big, purple circle.
You probably did something to it. I mean, that's when I broke my wrist, I used to be a really good 3-point shooter in basketball, and when I broke my wrist, I could never get my shot back. Like there was something about it that just like some of the mechanics just got messed up, and there it was. So
Alex,
sorry, NBA, you lost me.
So you were a hooper no more.
No longer a hooper. Very good way of putting it, Alex.
All right. I don't doubt that, but the past few weeks at school have been pretty rough, Bobby stated. Problems with bullies, huh? No, high school is just tougher than I thought. Well, you'll remember what I taught you, Cotton ordered. When cornered by a bully, don't be afraid to fight. I'll keep that in mind, Bobby promised. Besides, I spend all my free time at school trying to solve that thing you got for me at my birthday last year. You haven't finished yet, surprised Cotton shouted. Your daddy said you were good with things like that. Normally I am, but there's something different about it. 11:30 a.m. The bell rang, signaling the students of Arlen High that it was time to either go eat lunch, study, or go outside. Bobby opted to take his time to stay in the classroom to study. Bobby, you up for some basketball? A fellow student asked. We need one more for the team. Thanks for asking, Clive, but I'm going to take this time to catch up with my homework, Bobby said, turning down Clive's invite.
That doesn't sound like a Bobby Hill statement at all.
It doesn't. And also, I hate whenever two people are talking and they're the only ones talking and somebody uses the other person's name.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
It's just it's a weak form of writing. Just like we get it, we know who he's talking to.
Well, it's not just that. Like even in person, it kind of comes off like a used car salesman trying to be like, "All right, Alex. Now here, what I'm going to do is tell you about the new features of the 2021 Honda Civic." Like shit like that.
Yeah, but sometimes that personal name will sometimes make you want to pay attention more. It's kind of how they say, like, in all Trump's briefings, they just use the name Trump as often as possible because he'll just listen to it a little bit more or he'll pay more attention. So I think it's a device like that.
It definitely makes me listen more, but it just makes me hate the person more.
Well, all right then, Atlas. Where else can we go from here?
See what I mean? Yeah. Bitch. Damn it. Let's see. Okay, then, if that's what you want. When Clive left the room, Bobby quickly reached into his school bag and took something out. The thing wasn't a school book or anything related to homework. It was a golden box with hieroglyphs and an eye carved into it. I wonder if I can finish it today, Bobby wondered out loud. If I can, then everyone will finally know what I've been doing this past year.
Not just jerking off in my bedroom anymore, guys. I've been working on a box with hieroglyphics.
Yeah, what makes you think that your classmates are like, man, I wonder what he's up to at any point?
What a narcissistic way to think about yourself in high school when clearly no one gives a shit about anyone except themselves.
Right. Well, no, it's like that thing where you're lying in bed thinking of the awkward thing you said in middle or high school, and like nobody can remember that. They can't even remember who you are or your name. Like,
oh no, but those are the hardest things to drop, man. I mean, honestly, like a traumatic experience, you remember it like 5 times better than a good one. So, like, even like I'll never forget in 6th grade, I called my English teacher mom accidentally, and the class laughed at me, and I'll never live that down, no matter how many times I forgive myself for it.
Kids are cruel, man. And also, I'm pretty sure everyone's done that at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But they like to pretend that it was only me, you know?
Yeah, or just at the time. You know,
yeah.
Kid who's got a sweatpants boner. Oh, thank God, we're laughing at someone else.
I had plenty of sweatpants boners, that's for sure.
Hooray for middle school.
Yay! What? You need me to jump rope right now? Okay, well, my penis might get in the way.
Okay. Bobby placed his hand on the box, ready to open it. I still wish Grandpa would tell me what he got me because the translation he gave me doesn't make any sense, Bobby said, continuing talking out loud. You see it, but it's never been seen before. Confused by the riddle, Bobby decided to try and complete it anyways, but before he could, someone snatched the box from his hands. Hey! Not hey with an exclamation point, just hey, period.
Hey.
Hey. Hey, you cut it out. Meh.
I'm angry right now.
Bobby looked up to see the person responsible. It was a boy his age with light brown hair and hazel eyes. His name was Jason Lamar. Bobby had known him since first grade, but they never hung out. But that didn't seem to stop him from messing with Bobby. In Jason's defense, he never hurt Bobby physically or emotionally. He only did it so Bobby would stand up to him.
You know, I feel like, because these aren't real characters that he's using, this Clive and this Jason Lamar. I don't think they're actually characters from the show. I'm wondering why he didn't just go full on. Like, there are fringe characters. There's Clark Peters and Dooley, who are like the two bullies, who I feel like Dooley's the one that always goes like, you got attacked by a bee. Yeah. It's such a funny character, and like he'd be great if this guy had used these, but I'm nitpicking.
Or wait, who's Dale's son? That's obviously John. What? Joseph, right?
Yeah, certainly. Why not bring Joseph into this? Maybe he will. We don't know yet.
Yeah, true. We're pretty early in it. I'm starting to worry about you, Hill, Jason stated as he examined the box. Ever since you got this box, you've been acting weird and you're talking to yourself out loud proves it. Come on, Jason, give it back, Bobby begged. Being a few inches taller than Bobby gave Jason the advantage as he held the box above Bobby, who tried his best to reach up and grab it. Please, 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 give it back. Jason sighed as Bobby's whining started to annoy him. Fine, I'll tell you what, Hill. If you punch me in the chest, I'll give the box back. You know I detest violence. Who says that?
Bobby Hill would, for sure. Like,
I detest violence, but in this situation, I can make an exception.
Maybe, I don't know. Usually when someone says that, like, they detest violence, it's about someone else. They detest violence, not I detest violence.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's not usually used in first person.
Yeah. Like,
sit on your pedestal and say it.
I feel like also he's a kid,
Yeah, that's a very weird thing for a 13-year-old to say.
Mm-hmm. Or if it's high school. Was he in high school in the show, or was it middle school?
He was an 8th grader on the show. Because there's an episode where he pretends to be a high school student, where he's hamster boy. And so they think he's not hamster boy, but either way, he pretends to have a physical ailment that he's in high school, but he's actually an 8th grader.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, 8th grade's the last year of middle school, right?
For most schools, yes. Every once in a while, they'll go up to 9th in middle school. Like elementary will go to 6th, and then 7, 8, 9 is middle, and then 10, 11, 12 is high school. But for the most part, it's 9, 10, 11, 12 for high school.
Gotcha. Yeah, because, for my elementary school went up to 6th, and then the middle school I went to was 6, 7, 8. So I just showed up at 7th, and then 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12. It's school things, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Did you switch districts or something like that in the middle, or did you go to private and then public, or the other way around?
It was private school for elementary school, and then my parents, I went to a hippie school for 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then my parents were divorcing and ran each other out of money, so I went to public school for 11 and 12.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I honestly like the public school better.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm a public school kid, and I don't think I would have gotten on in private school very well. I don't need that kind of pretension in my life.
Yeah, I mean, like, the school I went to, that hippie school, was, like, a lot of celebrities' kids go there. So, like, Larry David's daughter, Eli Roth's son, Sam Raimi's son, they were all in my class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like, Cassie David, I think she just, like, wrote a book or something that came out recently. Like, she was interviewed on Seth Meyers. I'm like, bitch, we had math class together. You know?
You're like looking at your parents, like, couldn't you have made some better television, please?
Maybe. I don't know. My parents are both in medicine, so it's like, fuck you for saving lives or something. I don't know.
Yeah, how dare you? Especially during a year like this. We don't need anyone to save lives.
What do your parents do?
My dad is in commercial remodeling, like construction business, and
Cool.
my mom was a lawyer for a long time, family law. My stepdad's an attorney as well, like a couple attorneys. Then my dad does construction.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's,
it's why I'm good at arguing.
why? Because you had to, like, outsmart your lawyer mom to, like, be able to go to a concert or whatever?
Essentially, yeah. It's like everything. I just like their whole thing was always arbitration, and so I got very good at just knowing how to just battle them, I guess. And I was also very rebellious and pretty much a shithead. So I'm not ashamed. I was a very shitty kid. So I'm much reformed.
See, my parents were just good at knowing if you were faking sick or not. Because they were like, man, you ain't flushed. Get the hell on the bus, you know?
Yeah, I bet. You're like, but there's puke in the toilet. You're like, you chewed up Cheerios. Go to school.
Yeah. All right. If that's how you feel, John said before throwing the box, Redcorn, heads up. Bobby watched as his box flew into the hands of Joseph Redcorn. There you go. Jason Lamar's best friend and son of New Age local healer, John Redcorn. Good throw, dude. Joseph chuckled, and as he and Jason began a game of keep away. Guys, come on, the box is really valuable to me, Bobby pleaded as he did his best to catch the box in between throws. What's so special about it anyways? Jason asked, thus pausing the game. You can look if you want, but don't touch anything inside. With a quick peek, Jason looked in the box, but didn't find the content of the box very interesting, so he resumed their game. Suddenly, in the middle of the game, an extra hand grabbed the box in midair. The three boys looked to see the owner of the hand was a girl with dark red hair and green eyes. Her name was Jade LaRue, the new girl in school and Bobby's neighbor. Unlike Lamar and Redcorn, she actually hung out with Bobby during parts of the summer after she moved from Louisiana. What are you two idiots doing? Jade demanded. Relax, LaRue. Redcorn and I were just trying to help Hill man up, Jason explained. Well, you need to grow up and quit bullying Bobby. We aren't... Get out! Whatever, I was getting hungry anyways. Bobby watched as the two of them left the classroom. Jade handed the box back to Bobby, who returned to his desk. She sat sideways in the desk in front of him. So what's so special about this box? She asked. It's a long story, Bobby informed. I got time. So, they're playing Keep Away, and then somebody shows up and like... Here's your box back.
And they're just done.
They're just done. I just like the idea of every single time like that they try and throw keep away, someone will grab it. Like she tries to hand it back to Bobby, someone else shows up.
Yeah. Constant interceptions.
Yeah, he tries to throw it back to Joseph Redcorn, someone else grabs it, you know.
Is it common in fan fiction to change relationships between characters?
Constantly.
Okay.
It is definitely a thing.
Okay, because like I'm like, why would Joseph being so shitty to Bobby? Like they're best friends, but
yeah.
Okay, now that this is making more sense.
There's that, and like you also have this like weird trend where people have this idea of, oh, these two characters met once, I'm gonna make them fuck. Like,
yeah, sure, of course, yeah. I mean, anyway, I'm just waiting till we get to the fucking part of this story.
There's not gonna be fucking, but just, you know, it happens a lot. There have been many episodes of this show that are disgusting, if I'm being honest. The Incredibles and Jimmy Neutron, for the listener, if you want to go see those. Sweet Jesus.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right. In the hallway, Jason was discussing the events that had just transpired in the classroom. Who does LaRue think she is? Jason complained. We were only trying to get Hill to stick up for himself. What if she was right about us being bullies? Joseph questioned. I'd rather kiss a rabid bat than admit I was bullying.
That's perfect for this year.
Yeah, this was written in 2015. God, did that age like wine.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy is a sorcerer. I mean,
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of predictions he's made in his fanfics.
Yeah, I saw a thing where like somebody had done like for a while there was that app that could it was like gender swapping celebrities.
Yeah.
And then like at the time of recording this, Elliot Page came out as trans.
I saw
previously.
that. Yeah.
Ellen Page. So someone was like, "Look, I predicted it." It was like from however long ago that meme was. Yeah.
Somebody's always at the forefront of our future, Atlas.
Yeah, pretty much. Jason was cut off when he bumped into somebody, causing him and Joseph to fall into the floor. Looking up, they saw the person they ran into was a large student with a bulky build. The person looked down at them with an apologetic look on their face. "I'm so sorry," he said as he helped them up. "Don't worry about it," Jason said as he brushed himself off. "We were the ones that ran into you." "Totally our fault, dude," Joseph added before taking a good look at the student. He froze in fear as he recognized the person standing before him. "I couldn't help but overhear you two talking about bullying," the student said. "Are you bullying someone?" Hey, you know the thing that we get punished for if we get caught by the teachers? Can I get in on that? Were you doing that?
It just sounds very much like the hall monitor came in. "You're not supposed to be bullying. Are you bullying?"
Yeah. Or it's like a drug. Like, you got the bully?
You kids starting fights? What are we doing here? Huh?
Doing
Who's got
this? Buying the school, 3:00? Yeah?
Yep. I got a full trench coat of bullies right here, guys. Open it up. Take your poison.
Does anyone even wear a trench coat anymore?
I mean, yeah, school shooters, but other than that, I mean, I don't even think that's popular anymore. So.
Well, that's because of COVID. I feel like this would still be happening if...
Yeah.
It's like one weird side effect. You're like, well, school shootings have gone down. That's good.
Yeah, I can't remember last time I saw anyone in a trench coat, but then again, I'm not a 1930s detective, so.
Yeah. I feel like that was the coolest time. Like, my raincoat is technically a trench coat, but it's got a hood on it, so I feel like that kind of, it's just that it goes down to your knees, so it's, I feel like when I put it on, I should be saying, "These are mean streets we live on, streets soaked with blood."
Yeah, exactly what you should be saying. With a really long cigarette pull just going on. It's like, I remember when this place used to be a family town.
I fished a dead hooker out of the gutter. What am I supposed to say when I call that girl's parents?
They knew what she was doing.
Okay, so complete misunderstanding, Jason explained. "You see, we were talking about bowling! Bowling!" Joseph shouted. Jason stared at Joseph as he went on a rant while explaining that they had plans to go bowling after school. You see, Jason just said bowling, not bullying, said Joseph. I guess that makes sense, but I just want to remind you that bullying is wrong, no matter the reason. The duo watched as the guy walked away, and as soon as he was out of their sight, Joseph received a smack from Jason. "Pfft. Bowling? Are you serious? You know we both suck at it." "Hey, he didn't know, and trust me when I say you don't want him to know about us bullying Bobby." Wait, so they're just like full on, they know they're bullying Bobby.
Yep.
And they're like, "Okay, yeah, we're doing it. That's the thing."
I mean, he's the fat kid. You gotta bully him a little bit.
I guess so. But I mean, usually when you talk to bullies, they're like, I'm giving him what he deserves. Or like,
"I'm just doing what my dad taught me."
yeah. Or it's just stuff that like doesn't really track with what the reality is.
Yeah, I'd say that's true.
I also like how like, all right, Bobby's about to solve this puzzle. Okay, we're leaving Bobby. Let's go in the hallway.
As soon as we finally figure out what's in the box, yeah, we don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate form of bullying. Pretend you're interested, and as soon as they're ready to reveal, you're like, we don't give a shit.
That would be like if you're watching Seven. What's in the box? And you're like, hey, there's some dude having a piece of pie in a diner. Let's go see what he's up to.
Yeah. And then Gwyneth Paltrow's head is like, wait, I'm in here.
Yes, exactly. So let's see. Bullying Bobby. Why is that, Redcorn? Jason asked. That guy was Lenny Dukes, the strongest senior in school, Joseph informed. Seems like a nice guy. I can't imagine him hurting anybody. Also, they wrote it as, I can't image him hurting anybody. So, bad reading. As long as he doesn't find out how we treat Bobby, then we should be safe. So if you're the biggest senior in the school, you use your power to be like, I hope everyone is treating everyone else well. Bullying's wrong.
I mean, if you're a really cool senior, that's exactly what you do. Why try to get laid or be on the football team when you can stop bullying?
I mean, that's objectively a good thing to do, but...
Yeah, but it's not going to make you popular, that's for sure.
It's not going to make you popular, and it probably never happens. You probably have the, you say you care and then just kind of don't do anything. You just sort of look the other way.
Well, I imagine it's not usually the most popular kid in school that's writing the fan fiction, so I feel like whoever wrote this is just like, what if the popular kid was there to help?
Makes sense. Definitely.
In his image land,
Yeah. His image land. Okay. As long as he doesn't find out how we treat Bobby, then we should be safe. Back in the classroom, Bobby had just finished telling Jade the story of how he came into the possession of the golden box. However, Jade was having trouble getting some of the facts straight. So your grandpa won it in a card game from a war buddy, who got it from his nephew, who discovered it in a tomb in Egypt and kept it, despite almost everyone else on the expedition dying, Jade said as she retold the story. Correct, and then my grandpa gave it to me, Bobby said. If you told Jason all that, then maybe him and his stupid friend wouldn't have thrown it around. They were just having fun, Bobby stated. They're not bad guys once you get to know them. I guess, but Jason did have a point when he said you need to stand up for and defend yourself. Then what would be the point of hanging out with you then, Bobby joked. You're quite the charmer, Bobby Hill, Jade remarked with a chuckle. Things soon settled down when Jade asked to see the contents of the box. Bobby smiled as he lifted the box and revealed to Jade several small gold pieces inside the box. With Bobby's permission, Jade reached in and grabbed one of the pieces to examine. The box. No. It's always funny when, they repeat the same thing over and over. The box, the box, the box.
I think it's important to know that what box they're talking about, as he's talking to a young female,
That box, not her box. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty. It's some type of puzzle, but I haven't finished it, so I don't know what it looks like when it's completed. Sounds like a headache waiting to happen, Jade stated. At least the box has a cool design. Not only that, but according to my grandpa, the hieroglyphs write out a message on the box. What does it say? I have trouble enough with English. Hieroglyphs are a completely different language.
Good line.
That was a good line. Yeah, I'll give him that. Jade sat there disappointed as she wouldn't get to hear what the message was. But then something came to her, and a smile appeared across her face as she grabbed Bobby's hand. I actually know someone who can help us out, she informed as she dragged Bobby away, unaware of the redness on his cheeks. Minutes later, they arrived at the cafeteria, where Jade immediately found the person she was looking for. Sitting by herself at a table, eating lunch, was a girl with long black hair kept in a ponytail. Oh my god. Commas, dude. Use them. That was one long sentence. Jade let go of Bobby's hand and walked over and sat across from the girl. The two talked for a bit, then Jade motioned for Bobby to come over and join them. Bobby Hill, meet Sarah Argentina, my best friend and the biggest expert in all things ancient Egyptian, Jade shared as she introduced him to Sarah. Let's see, what voice should I give Sarah?
Sarah Argentina. I don't know, because I think you got to go a little higher pitch for this one. But she does know all things hieroglyphics.
Yeah, and her name's Argentina.
She's more of an ancient, you know?
Maybe. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of, like, every, like, kid show where, because you're a kid, you're like, oh, teenagers must know everything. Because they're, like, they're ass-kicking detectives or, like, ghost hunters or superheroes or something where, like, it just seems like they have their shit together. And then you get to middle and high school and you're like, no one has their fucking shit together.
Oh, I think about that all the time. Like when you were like in 6th grade and you looked at an 8th grader, you're like, that guy's like 19 feet tall.
Yeah.
I think about like what an 8th grader looks like now. I'm just like, look at this fucking short ass dude.
So the thing where you're like, nobody has their shit together. You just repeat that for the rest of your life. You just keep going, then you're dead.
Damn straight.
Yep. Well, I'm no Daniel. Fuck, that's basically just Jade's voice. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm telling you, make it like an ancient, like she knows it all, like you know.
Oh, like an. Well, I'm no Daniel Jackson.
Yeah.
Sarah modestly stated. Isn't that the guy from the archaeology channel who claimed that the pyramids were landing pads for alien ships? Bobby wondered. He never said that, Sarah shouted, enough that the two adjacent lunch tables turned to stare at her. What? Jade waved in embarrassment as they turned back to their lunch. Sarah, relax. Now, the reason I brought Bobby to... oh, wait, that's Jade, sorry. Sarah, relax. Now, the reason I brought Bobby to you is I'm hoping you could translate some hieroglyphs for him. Only under the condition that he never makes a remark like that regarding Dr. Jackson. I will never make that mistake again, Bobby promised out of fear. He handed Sarah the box so she could study the carvings. Bobby sat there patiently as Sarah wrote down all the hieroglyphs on a piece of paper so she could read them better. After a few more minutes, the carvings were copied down and the box returned to Bobby. Bad news is, some of the hieroglyphs are obscure, Sarah reported. However, Jade and I know someone who hopefully could translate it. Really? Bobby asked. Yeah, Jade and I were going to visit her store after school anyways. What kind of store does she own, an antique store? Actually, it's a game shop, Jade corrected. You mean like board games? Along with video games, puzzles, various games from around the world, and most importantly, duel monsters.
Duel monsters? What are duel monsters?
That's like the in-show thing of like Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Because they for some reason they can't call it Yu-Gi-Oh! They gotta call it duel monsters. Not sure why.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird that you can use fan fiction with all these other characters, but not. I guess they don't want to mix universes. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm guessing it's just they took the characters from King of the Hill and just made them do Yu-Gi-Oh! Things. I don't think it's like the two characters from the two universes meeting each other.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Let's see. You two are into duel monsters? A surprised Bobby asked. I've been playing ever since the game came out 8 years ago, Sarah revealed. Well, I got into the game a year before I moved here, Jade added. You ever play the game, Bobby? So, if somebody found out you played Yu-Gi-Oh! In middle and high school, you were getting your ass kicked.
I mean, I would think so. I mean, at least by these popular kids.
Yeah, or either that or you just get made fun of relentlessly. But like in here, they're like, "Oh, you play it too? Fuck yeah! Let's all do that. We're totally not gonna get, cards randomly taken away while we're playing at lunch and read and being like, this is dumb, and thrown back at you. Totally not gonna happen."
Well, there's always that table of, like, dare I say, nerds that unite, and, they are so relentlessly themselves that they don't care. They're like, I call upon the sword of Galveston, and they're, like, be in the middle of the cafeteria, like, doing it, and everyone's like, all right, whatever, it's not even worth our time to go mess with those kids.
Yeah. Well, there's that, or, like, in college, my whole friend group was playing Vanguard, which is the TCG I play now, and, like, we would meet at the top of there was like a cafeteria on the first floor, and then at the top there were just like tables. So we'd all hang out up there, and that's just where you would go when between classes or whatever. Maybe someone's there, you play with them a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, we weren't being like, I call upon the sword of Galveston. You're not doing that shit, but just like, you know, playing card. It's kind of like just doing poker, but it's got like anime drawings on it.
I would see that at Meltdown sometimes, though. Like when I used to do shows at Meltdown a lot.
Oh yeah. R.I.P. Meltdown. They just tore it down.
Did they actually?
I think they it closed years ago, but I think they finally tore down the building.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't drove by a couple weeks ago and it's still there, so I don't know. But now I'm curious. But yeah, I would always see people that were like enraptured in a game, and they'd be super into it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. TCGs are a rabbit hole that are kind of fun to go down, and it's it's a hobby. It costs money, but the friends I've made playing those games are like friends I'm gonna have the rest of my life.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Shout out to Dan, who lives in Eugene, Oregon now.
Yeah, Dan, way to
go. You ever play the game, Bobby? As any other kid, I did have a deck, but I stopped playing after a year because I kept losing every duel, and my parents thought I was silly to spend money on a card game. That is correct. That will happen. I kept playing TCGs from like 8th grade up through adulthood, and a few years ago, my mom was like, "Why do you still do that? Like, it costs money." I'm like, "Mom, it's a hobby. Hobbies cost money. Also, your daughter used to literally ride horses, so shut up."
Yeah, you should understand that at least I don't have any stable fees for my cards.
Yeah, it's like maybe $100 a month, if that. Like, it just depends on if you want the new stuff coming out, or like however often new cards come out and you need them for whatever deck you're playing. Like, it's
significantly cheaper than feeding a horse.
Definitely. I mean, she doesn't do it anymore, but it was just like the best dunk I've ever had.
In your face.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where like they're just
Right. All right, I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. Spend money on a card game. Will meet us after school, and will not only hopefully get those carvings translated, but maybe reignite your love for duel monsters, Jade suggested. Outside, Jason was now by himself, standing over a large hole that was dug to install a new drainage pipe. But the project got scrapped, so now it was just another large hole in the ground. He stared at something in his hands, which turned out to be a piece of Bobby's puzzle, despite not being told not to touch anything. This piece was jagged around the sides with a carving of an eye in the middle. Hill needs to grow up, Jason thought to himself. No one in this hellhole school is going to take him seriously if he keeps acting like a child. Why do you care?
He's very invested in this other student's well-being.
Yeah. Or, like, there's that, and it's like, it kind of comes off as the people where it's like, gay people shouldn't get married because they're going to hell. I'm like, what? It's not your fucking business.
Yeah, really. And more room in heaven for you, dude.
Yeah. Let's see. He closed his hand. What?
I was about to say less people in heaven try to suck your dick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. He closed his hand, concealing the puzzle piece with a fist. Then, after extending his arm, he dropped the piece into the hole. He then kicked some loose dirt on it to cover it up. If he can't complete it, then maybe he'll come to his senses. I like how he made a point of, like, alright, like, in the movies where the guy's holding, like, a photo, or, like, a piece of a puzzle, or, like, part of a necklace or something, and they, like, dramatically closed his hand on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I'm leaving my past behind me, drop, throw, whatever it is.
Over the bridge. Goodbye.
Over the bridge. Goodbye. I'll always love you. That kind of thing. A few hours later, the bell signaling the end of the school day rang, and Bobby rushed as fast as he could to his locker to get his stuff and meet up with Jade and Sarah. Swinging his bag over his shoulders, Bobby walked down the hill towards the doors, but unbeknownst to him, someone was waiting. "Bobby Hill," a voice called out. Bobby stopped and turned to see an older student with brown hair wearing a blue jacket over a gray shirt, along with a pair of worn-out jeans. Yes, a nervous Bobby replied. I need to talk to you for a minute. Bobby gulped as he walked over to the older boy. Allow me to introduce myself. The name is George Rao. Fuck it. His voice is just like the, oh yeah, like that voice. How can I help you? George smirked as he saw sweat forming on Bobby's forehead. A friend of mine has informed me that 2 boys in your class have been causing you trouble. I don't think so, Bobby denied. If they had, I believe I would be the first to notice. George, however, wasn't pleased with this answer. Look, Bobby, a nice guy like you doesn't need to defend pieces of trash such as those boys, George stated, so I'll make you a deal. I have my guy look further into this while I volunteer myself as your bodyguard.
Very
okay. Nice. I guess so, but like, you're getting bullied vaguely. They're not beating him up. They're not calling him names. They're just like, keep away with the box. Here's your box back. And rumor has already spread around the school because they were alone in that room when that was happening.
Correct.
and then now he's just like, I'm here to offer my services as a bodyguard for no reason. Pay me.
Maybe it's all part of the magic that's contained within the box.
Maybe, or it's like some kind of protection racket or something.
Could be, yeah. He might be asking Bobby, give him a pair of shoes or something like that for that protection.
Yeah. Let's see. I appreciate the offer, but no one is picking on me, Bobby said as he started to back off. If you'll excuse me, I have to go. Without a second thought, Bobby bolted to the door where Jade and Sarah were waiting. Back inside, George stood there smiling as someone walked up to him. Did he accept your offer, George? Sadly, Lenny, he hadn't, but don't worry, for after tomorrow he'll change his mind. And that is the end of the first chapter. There are a total of 5 of these things.
Wow. I was thinking like a few minutes ago, I was like, there's no way we're going to get through this, right?
Oh, hell no. No. There's no way we're going to get through all 5. I highly recommend to people listening to this, please go read the rest of this because it is, it's so much effort put into something that just, it's fanfic that they mostly, that's just what this show is about. But this is definitely one of those things, if nothing else, if you enjoyed The Room as a movie, you will like this fan fiction.
Oh, good. Well, I used to go see The Room a bunch when they used to play it at the Lemley 5 on Sunset. Did you ever go to that experience when they were doing it?
I never did that. I would go to Rocky Horror Picture Show at the New Art, though.
So very, very, very similar. Everyone was drunk, throwing spoons at the screen, yelling all the things. It was the most
Mark.
At a movie theater. Obviously that movie is whatever it is, but seeing it live was incredible.
I bet. I miss going to movies, dude. Going to the movies, whether it's one of those or just going to see a new movie. What was the last movie you saw in theaters before COVID hit?
Shit. Oh my god, you're like, it's like asking me what I wore on my first day to elementary school at this point. I have no idea. I would have to look at what came out in January or February to even. I have no idea, man. I can tell you the last concert I saw was March 11th. I saw this band called The Rapture at the El Rey. I remember that.
Oh wow, you came in under the wire. That was 4 days before it locked down. It locked down in the Ides of March, right?
Oh yeah, dude. I shot my first audition this year for America's Got Talent on March 14th. I left there, and 3 hours later, they were like, everything is closed. And I remember taking a walk that night to just go to a liquor store, and it was already oh, this is creepy out here. This is a weird vibe. And that was just a few hours after. So, well, do you remember the last movie you saw?
Sonic the Hedgehog in theaters with aforementioned friend Dan. I was visiting him, and we got super fucking high to go watch this movie. Because
I mean,
why wouldn't you? Yeah. But it's one of those things where, like, fuck, the last movie I saw in theaters was Sonic the Hedgehog.
I mean, if you had known, would it have been any different? Probably not.
Maybe I probably wouldn't have. I would have done and seen something more meaningful, I guess. I mean, you're also talking to the guy who saw Little Women in theaters 3 times.
Did they just keep getting littler every time you saw it?
No, it was like the first time I got dragged to it with my my family, with my mom and sister. And then I liked it so much, I was like, I went back and saw it a second time by myself, which, underrated, by the way, is going to the movies by yourself. It's a real nice feeling. No one's asking you what's going on. Don't gotta share snacks.
It was one of my pleasures on the road, is because when you go on the road as a comedian, you have nothing to do all day. So I'd go see movies in the middle of the day, and it would, there's 3 hours that I don't have to think about how to fill my time.
Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I always thought matinee was pronounced manatee. Gonna go see a manatee screening of Little Women. The third time was a girl I was seeing at the time wanted to go see it, and I was like, I've totally never seen it before. I'll go with you,
You should have been like whispering little things like, wouldn't it be crazy if this happened next? And then that does happen. She would have been like, what? Like,
well, I mean, it's also based on a book, so it would be like, wouldn't it be crazy if this happened? She's like, you read the book? I'm like, yeah, totally.
But that gives you points. I mean, honestly, if you show up to a date and you're quoting Little Women, like, you're getting in that girl's pants at some point.
I mean, you say that as if I'll ever go on a date again, we say.
Not through the computer.
Yeah. Let's see. So what did you think of it so far? The fic?
I'm into it. I'm a little confused because I don't know, like, obviously where it's going with the whole Yu-Gi-Oh universe. Mm-hmm. But, I think they're nailing the character of Bobby, though. Like, he's getting some jokes in there that are very Bobby-esque. Mm-hmm. And since that's the only character I can really base it off of, since he's the main one and the other ones are mostly fictional, I think he's doing a good job capturing the character. And I think that's the most important thing in a fan fiction, is that you got to stay true somewhat to how they speak and who they are.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a big problem that a lot of fanfic writers run into, is problems with voice, because you're like, no, they would never do this.
Well, you know what's crazy? So my little sister loves Harry Potter and reads a ton of Harry Potter fan fiction. And I was like, but now that J.K. Rowling is speaking out against trans people, she's super against it. She's like, I'm not reading those books anymore. I was like, why are you still reading the fan fiction? And she said, because all these people are writing pro-trans Harry Potter stuff. It's like, but I can't understand why, because to me it's like, fuck, if you don't agree with this woman, why are you still using her universe and trying to make it your own and being like, well, I'm going to make it the universe that I want it. Like, if that were me, I would be like, I'm dropping this. I don't need to be here anymore.
I think it's because the way those books were seen by people of our generation. Like, when were you born? What year?
85.
Okay, so I was born in 94. That, like, people, like, millennials, Harry Potter is so, like, baked into our generation that, like, it taught, like, a lot of things about, like, the whole book or books were literally fighting, like, wizard Hitler. It was about, conquering fascism and, like, bigotry and stuff like that. So to have J.K. Rowling then come out against trans people is something that really is hard on the people who, were so into Harry Potter, and I think that's why so many people have kind of taken it and run with it, because they want this like inclusive universe the way it was to remain that way.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that happens where like the people who create amazing art just turn out to be shit people as they get older. That happens every now and again.
Yes, it does. But to me, I was like I can't watch Bill Cosby anymore. Like,
right,
I have to separate. Like, to me, if someone that I grew up with starts really going against my principles, to me, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm going to change all their characters so that they fit what I want to be. I'd be like, no, I'm going to create a new universe of people that are pro-trans or pro the things that I wanted to be involved with. That's what, like, she was trying to explain to me, like, no, like, because we're trying to change the universe to what we want. And I was like, but that's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you.
People fall on different ends of the spectrum. I, for one, can't watch Louie anymore. Like, I really loved it when it was on
so
TV.
Good. It was revolutionary TV. It really was so good.
My friend Dan, when that show first came on, he was like, you could take that entire theme song, like where he's like walking to the club while the theme song's playing. You could take that same expression on his face and that theme song and just have him on the toilet and just like reading the shampoo bottle, playing on his phone, running out of toilet paper. Just that's the thing. And I kind of wish that I would have been able to do that with like a deep fake or something.
Yeah, that would have been great. No, it always bothered me when he threw half the piece of pizza away.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, you have to slice and throw it away? Come on, man.
Yeah, why was he standing still while eating it, too? Like, you can walk and eat pizza.
Right? Good point.
Although it was like one of those ones that are the size of your head. So maybe you gotta get through half of it so it's not like drooping like that.
Yeah.
And then it holds up under its own weight, then you can start walking. It's like... well, Alex Hooper, thank you so much for coming on Bad Reading. I appreciate it.
Dude, this is fun, man. What a pleasure. This is a great podcast. I'm really into it.
Thank you. Would love to have you back in the future. Where can people find you, follow you out there on social media?
So, super easy. My website is hoopercomedy.com. My social medias are all at Hooper Hair Puff. And I just put out a brand new 30-minute tour documentary of my trip to London last year on YouTube. It is a blended documentary comedy special. It's called Alex Hooper, When Does the Club Shut? Go check that out. I'm very proud of how it came out.
There will be links to all that stuff in the show notes, by the way, and description.
Perfect.
Let's see. You can find me at Atlas Novak, or you can find me at find the show at Bad Rating Pod, both on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to eviscerate that like button, not just smash it. Eviscerate that shit. Tell a friend about the show. That'd be cool. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm sad I didn't get to do my Hank Hill voice. Damn it, Bobby.
Boomhauer, that's the only thing I regret is there's no Boomhauer in there because that avoids like
talking really damn fast.
Yeah, that's a man,
So I'm gonna say this instead: wash your damn hands, wear a mask, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.